Okay, before we get into the poem, this is from Rudyard Kipling's If, but it's the same colours that we use throughout. Texts and boxes in yellow are kind of more questions for you to consider to enhance your understanding of the poem. Don't just take the analysis I'm giving you. It should really be a springboard, a catalyst for you to be creating your own meaning. Light blue indicates poetic techniques, your metaphors, alliteration, things like this. Orange boxes in text are focusing on word choice, looking at the word choice itself, or perhaps explaining it a bit more to you as well. And green usually indicates that it's analysis. Green being associated with growth, it's developing the analysis of the poem. As I say, please don't rely on my analysis. You should be coming up with your own as well. Okay, let's get into this then. Tyger, Tyger, burning bright in the forests of the night. Forest plural. We start off with this first line. It's rhythmic. It's repetition of Tyger, the alliteration of burning bright, the meter and rhythm within it, which we'll look at later. Tyger, Tyger, burning bright. It's like a chant. It's like some kind of call to the higher power or lower power which created this monster. Tyger, Tyger, burning bright. We get the alliteration of burning bright. This could try to represent the sound of the fire. Perhaps. I'll leave that one up to you. In the forests, the moment we hear the word forest, we think of great, vast expanses of space covered in vegetation, humongous trees, canopies, so there's little shadows within it. They're dangerous, they're dark, there's lots of animals that could cause us harm. Not only that, it's a forest of the night. The word choice of night, heightening how uncomfortable we are. It heightens the danger of both the forest and the tiger. And Blake nicely juxtaposes the burning bright, the flames of the tiger with the darkness of the forests. Now, he's not literally meaning the tiger's on fire. That'd be crazy. What he's meaning is he's trying to emphasise the colours, the majestic, incredible colourings of the tiger. He then goes on to ask what immortal meaning all-powerful, above all humans, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? Very quickly we read it as symmetry because we want to have it rhyme with I. It's an AABB rhyme scheme, so I and symmetry rhyme. Remember, Blake perhaps wouldn't have spoken the same way that we do nowadays, so that rhyme's very logical and it doesn't break the AABB rhyme scheme, which we'll go on and talk about later as well. This final fourth line starts with could. He's questioning what kind of creator could possibly create such a dangerous beast of an animal. Who could frame thy fearful symmetry? This idea of frame, it evokes the idea of the creator being an imaginative creator. Now, Blake himself was an artist, a poet, a creator of sorts, an imaginative creator. So perhaps he's puffing his chest out a little bit here. Perhaps. And he's really, it's a congratulatory a little bit of a pat on the back for him. But he's really asking what kind of incredible being, what kind of amazing imaginative creator could frame thy fearful symmetry. The sublime is something which is too big to be framed. The sublime means something that's a huge, expansive, big, massive idea that's almost too difficult for us to fully understand. Yet we're attracted to it, we're amazed by it, we're in awe of it. The sublime's too big to be framed. So what kind of creators had the ability to frame this perfection? The word choice of fearful as well, in this case meaning fearsome. And the idea of symmetry. We're told that beautiful people, not myself obviously, have perfectly symmetrical faces. Things which are symmetrical, think about the Taj Mahal in India for example. Symmetry equals beauty. Within artistic expression and beauty in itself, within nature, we love symmetry. Think of butterflies and things like this. The symmetry we see in the patterns. It's a little bit of an oxymoron being used. Fearful symmetry, fearsome symmetry. It's terrifying but beautifully perfect. And that's also the battle that I think goes on. This line could encapsulate, could symbolise Blake's whole problem with it. This idea that it's terrifying but beautiful. A little bit like the creator, whether it's God or the devil. Think about the God of the Old Testament, a vengeful, wrathful God. This could very much play into Blake and what he's saying, the fearful symmetry. What kind of creator could have possibly created this? Okay, on to stanza 2. He goes on to ask, in what distant, far away, otherworldly, not on this planet, in what distant deeps or skies, deeps being the devil with heaven, the skies, sorry, the devil with hell, sorry, and the skies being heaven with God. The depths, the deeps, hell, the skies, heaven. Burnt the fire of thine eyes. We've got a link here with line 1. We've got the burning bright, and we've also got the repetition of the word I from line 3. So it's reinforcing this idea of fire, this idea of creation. We use fire to create, as we'll go on and see. We go on and you see these 2 lines. There's a supernatural feel to them. It feels otherworldly, supernatural. It emphasises the idea that this must have been created by something bigger than us. And with the mention of deeps for hell and skies for heaven, he's really overtly questioning, where was this created? Where was this beast created? In heaven or in hell? We're asked in what wings, a symbol for power, a symbol for perhaps freedom as well, inspiration. It could be a nod to the old god of Greek mythology as well. We have many winged gods and things like this. It could be a nod to that, but it's the idea the creator is free to create this, has the freedom and the power to be able to create this. We've got the mention of dare, the second mention of dare. It's mentioned 4 times throughout the poem. Who would dare to do this? And that's ambiguous. It can be read as who would have the courage, who would dare to do this, or who would be stupid enough almost, who would dare to create such a dangerous animal. So there's double meanings throughout it all. He's not sure himself. On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire, had the courage to seize the fire. And again, repetition of fire, linking it more with the devil than with God. This, as I've said already, is ambiguous. It says showing the courage of the creator for creating the tiger, or is he in disbelief that something or someone could be irresponsible enough to create this? Word choice of hand is also another body part. This poem is littered with body parts mentioned. Usually human body parts as well, interestingly, perhaps suggesting that the creator is closer to us as humans than animals. The tiger has paws, not hands. Okay, stanza 3 goes on to talk about the strength and what shoulder. The strength of the creator. Think about the size and the strength of a tiger. If that's how strong a tiger is, how strong must the creator be? It's in awe of it. With what shoulder and what art? This idea again of the skill involved in creating it. Again, perhaps a self-conscious nod to himself. What art could twist the sinews of the heart? Suggests a great power, as I've said, the strength and also the delicacy to be able to create this. The sinews of the heart suggests the very fibres, the very being, the essence of this tiger. What kind of creator could do this? And when thy heart began to beat, it's not just the body now we're focusing on, it's the heart as well, the repetition now of the word heart. And when this heart was given life, almost like Frankenstein if we think about more modern day, after Blake was writing. A bit more like Frankenstein, this kind of idea, the heart beginning to beat. And what dread hand? We've got repetition of dread. It questions the courage of the creator to be able to continue his work and to finish the jobs. And there's more body parts mentioned. A question, is this the tiger or the creator that the writer is referring to? What dread hand and what dread feet? What terrible, what terrifying, what incredible thing was able to create this? What dread hand and what dread feet? Either way, it's something to dread. It's something to be in awe of, amazed of, but also something to be a little bit scared of. A little bit, again, like this idea of the sublime. Stanza 4. We get lots of manual working kind of images in this stanza. What the hammer and what the chain, furnace, anvil. An anvil. We've got this idea here of word choices being related to smith's tools, like a blacksmith, somebody who makes things out of metal. The metaphor of the blacksmith suggests someone who's hardworking, careful and deliberate. It's a craftsman. Again, it goes back to this idea of it being an imaginative creator who's done this. It's an imaginative creator who's been able to create this. And again, it's a link back to this idea of the humans as well. Yes, what the hammer, what the chain, in what furnace, the fire that you melt metal with, in what furnace was thy brain, the creation, what the anvil, boom, 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 that's where you'd hammer the metal onto. What the anvil, what dread grasp, dare its deadly terrors clasp. Through these three lines, all the smith tools here link to fire. The Tyger's creation feels more dangerous because of this. Again, Tyger, Tyger, burning bright in the forests of the night. We've got all these images of a blacksmith, of a creator, but it's fire that creates it. Perhaps going back to the previous stanza, asking on what deeps or what skies. The deeps being hell. That's almost suggesting the Tyger's been created in hell here. But we've got a working class, which is important as well. A working class job creating this. Again, perhaps Blake is suggesting that the working classes are slightly forgotten about in society. But they're just as important as your politicians and things like this. We've got the mentioning of brain here, another part of the body emphasising intelligence this time, not its strength, not its deadly terrors, its intelligence. And again, for the Tyger to be so incredibly intelligent in the way it hunts and the way it does so many things, this creator must be even more intelligent and more imaginative. Again, we've got repetition of this word dare from lines 7 and 8. Its deadly terrors, a reminder that despite its beauty and its perfection, it has deadly terrors. Deadly, the adverb deadly. The terrors are deadly. Not only is it terrifying, but it's deadly terrifying as well. Deadly terrors. Again, perhaps a link with Satan here. Stanza 5, we're nearly there. We get to the most religious of all the stanzas, which is hard to believe given what we've been talking about already, but this is the most overtly religious stanza. We're told, when the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who make the lamb make thee, the Tyger? It's the most Christian stanza. Let's break it down a little bit. This idea of the stars throwing down their spears is an allusion, it's a reference to Satan being cast out of heaven. Remember, Satan was once an angel and he got put down to hell for his crimes, if you like, for his sins. We've got the idea of spears. Spears could also be an allusion perhaps to the old Greek gods such as Zeus. It's also a violent imagery, that idea of throwing down spears, where you're only throwing spears to kill something. It's a tool for hunting. But we've got beautiful imagery of when the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears. It's just referring to Satan being cast out of heaven. Watered heaven. The word choice of watered emphasises the purity of heaven. Water's a very pure thing, and it's to emphasise the purity of heaven here. We're asked, did he? Now what's interesting, is this the same he that's mentioned in line 7 and the next line? It's interesting that he's not capitalised. It's not made into a proper noun with a capital H, as we usually do when referring to God, for example. So the use of the lowercase h in he really emphasises that Blake is still not sure if it's the God or the devil who's created this. It downplays the importance, at least emphasises the uncertainty that one God or the specific Christian God created the Tyger. And did he smile his work to see, was he happy? Did he who made the lamb make thee? Made in the past tense, make in the present tense, as if it's almost as if that Blake's the first person to see this beast. The word lamb's a name usually given to Christ. Very, very often and very commonly we refer to Christ as being the lamb. The speaker's asking if it's the same person who created Christ, God, as created the tiger. But he's also, if it's not the person who made the lamb, if it's not God, it therefore stands to reason it's probably the devil who's created this tiger. The link to the gods of the Old and New Testament as well, and the idea of the wrathful God, the dangerous God. Question for you. How and why would a good God want to create something so scary and so dangerous? And this is a question you've really got to consider. If it is this God, this Christian God that's created it, why? It's a killer. Why would he do this? And we get to stanza 6, which is exactly the same as stanza 1, except the word could in line 4 of stanza 1 is changed to dare, this famous word dare that we keep on seeing. It's repetition again. Could in the final stanza is changed to dare, and it maintains and it re-establishes that chant-like quality. Tiger, tiger, burning bright, in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? It's very chant-like, and it just emphasises it. The poem starts and ends with this stanza, and it almost just goes full circle, and it allows us to hear this rhythm, this chant-like quality. The word choice of dare, it's the 4th time it's now been repeated. It's identical repetition of the first stanza except this word, so it emphasises this word dare. As we were saying earlier on, who would dare have the courage to create this? Or who would dare have the stupidity almost to create this tiger? Okay, and in a few questions for you. In this poem, with all the imagery of fire and danger, alluding to the fact that either the tiger is a reincarnation or created by the tiger, why would God have created this? Now you may have your own ideas, and that's what I'm wanting. Think on this question. Whatever way you want to see it, you can read this poem as God as God creating it, or as the devil creating it. It's up to you. Poetry is meant to be read many different ways. All you need to do is make sure that you've got the evidence to back it up. What implications does this have with regards to humanity and belief as well? If it is the devil who's created this tiger, well, what else did he create? Are all bad things created by the devil? Is the devil therefore almost as powerful as God? Is there a God? Is there a devil? All these questions being asked. Okay. And is it a reminder that good and evil both exist and they're essential to provide a balance in the world? Perhaps if you're not sure and you've not got a clear opinion on it, maybe this is how you want to take it. Do we need to have good and evil in the world to create this balance? That's something to think about. Okay, so we get